Okay, so it's super hot in my car. I'm kind of like, when you leave a dog in the car. So this conversation is important. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We're going to talk about changing today, and I want a soapbox moment because I've been thinking about a lot of things because I've had, excuse the traffic, I gotta have the windows cracked so I don't frickin' bake to death in here, but I want to talk about changing, and I want to talk about people from your past making you feel guilty about it. Maybe it's people that are currently in your life. I think that change is good. I think if you're acting like a shitty person and you're, doing things that are mean and vindictive and whatever else, and obviously we all have our learning journey, and not all of our paths are the same. Not all of us have the same empathy level. Some people have to learn empathy. That's one thing that I discovered. I've actually listened to podcasts where people have to work on having empathy, and I thought to myself, I'm like, well, how do you just not naturally have that? But every single one of us is different, and as long as you're not being a shitty person, I don't think that changing is a bad thing. Changing is essential for our growth, and the reason why I'm talking about this is because I've had a lot of people in my life try and make me feel guilty, or people that I've shut out of my life make me feel guilty. And it's not that I think that people are bad or anything, but sometimes you outgrow things, and sometimes you have to have a little bit of distance between yourself and that other person, place, thing, job, relationship. Maybe you just broke up with somebody. I've done that before. Sometimes you just need space to just kind of figure stuff out and figure out your life. And the moment that you start choosing yourself in life, there are going to be people in your path that try and sway you the other direction, and they're going to remind you of who you used to be, and they're going to remind you of the things that you used to do to try to make you feel like a bad person and not go on this mission. There are a lot of people in this world that are afraid to take risks. There are a few of us that aren't afraid to follow our dreams. There are a few of us that have the courage or build the self-confidence within ourselves enough to go after the things that we really want in life, and there are going to be those people on the sidelines that make you feel guilty for every step of the way. And I want to talk about this because I know there's somebody on the other side of the screen doubting their journey. I feel like every time that I get on a high, and then every time that I get down though and I start doubting myself, there will be people set into my path to test me, and there will be people like, well, what are you going to do financially, or instill fear in my brain. And I think a lot of times if we let go of control, things would work out a lot smoother. And I've heard a lot of people ask me, aren't you worried? Aren't you worried what you're going to do with your finances? Yeah, there's a part of me that is. But if I sit here and stew in those feelings, it's not going to help me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's not that I shouldn't say that I'm not worried, because there's a part of myself that is worried. And I think that it's the essential of being a human. It's just normal. It's our survival instinct that kicks in. But I know from previous experience, I've figured things out before, and I know I can do it again. I have the confidence. And I think what really sparked this in me, and what really got me thinking, is I had a friend call me last night, and she's having a hard time in her life, and I just sat there and listened to her, and I was like, I've been there. I worked at the same job before. I felt the same feelings. I felt the same way. And it's really hard when you're a person with a big heart and you have a lot of empathy, and then you're stuck in an environment where you're in an office space where there's catty bitches and people that, I'm just being completely honest, there's catty bitches, and they're mean to you and they bully you, and especially if they see that you have a kind heart and they hate you for the things that you're good at, that you do have that high level of empathy. I'm not sitting here saying, well, these people are good and these people are bad. I'm just saying, the moment that you start choosing yourself, people are going to hate you for it. People are going to envy you for it, because I've seen it time and time again. 98% of the people in my life or in my circle or people that I see around me are afraid to take a risk. People are like, oh, you're so brave, Tyler. You're so courageous. I think it got to a point where life got so dark where I had no choice but to choose differently. You know what I'm saying? My darkness was so dark that I almost wasn't here anymore. I was in the pit of my hell, and I lived in this darkness for nearly a decade. It was a long time. And when life started to change, I have this conversation with a friend yesterday. When life started to change for me is when I started to choose God. My battery's overheating. I gotta swap it out here. All right, we're gonna try this again, but for a little bit I'm gonna hold you because it's hot on my dash. It's The sun is sunning, okay? It's hot outside. But my life started to change when I started choosing myself and listening to God. And I've talked about this before several different times on my channel, and I'm gonna keep repeating myself because I know that there's gonna be new people that are jumping on board and they're kind of being like, oh, she's kind of cool, you know what I'm saying? So when I lost my mom to suicide back in 2012, it was like the lights were turned off. And I felt like there was no hope. And there is nothing that can mentally prepare you for the death of a loved one or losing somebody that you love or even somebody betraying you, but especially losing your best friend. And having to accept the fact that they're never coming back really messed me up. I spent the next at least 7 years on and off antidepressants and doing different treatments. I've tried probably 6 different kinds of antidepressants. I even went as far as genetic testing. I've done years of therapy and I've done all of this stuff. I went to a psychiatrist and I was trying so hard and I felt like nobody could help me. And I'm probably going to get emotional about this, but I can't tell you how absolutely heartbreaking that felt, because I felt like no matter what I did, no matter what I tried, I just felt like the world was against me and medication wasn't working. And so at that point, that's when I decided to move to New Jersey, get off antidepressants cold turkey. Don't recommend it. I had really bad withdrawal symptoms. And I pursued my dreams of becoming a high fashion model. I'm 5'10". I was trying to make it in New York, and it was so expensive to live out there, and I just couldn't make it. The relationship I was in, very kind man. I honestly think that I'm the one that messed it up because it wasn't what I was used to, so I wasn't attracted to him. That's another story for another time. Very kind person. I have nothing but good things to say about this person, but I ended up coming back, and when I moved back in with my dad, it was the humility. I had to move back in with my dad, and I worked my ass off for 1.5 years, and that's when I purchased my house. And the moment that I came back, I started creating art, I started listening to God, and I started to rebuild my relationship with God. And you can click off of this if it's not what you believe in. I really don't care. This is just my path, not pushing my beliefs on anyone. I'm just talking about my story and how I came to get to where I am today and what brought me to where I am at. Obviously, it's not sunshine and rainbows right now, but I'll tell you it's a hell of a lot better than it was. Moved in with my dad, swallowed my pride, and that is when life really started to change, because I heard this inaudible voice tell me to go to Walmart and get paints and stuff, and I hear things spiritually. It sounds crazy, but it's just me. And it's a gift I've had ever since I was a child, ever since I could remember or know anything. Like, my intuition is extremely strong as well. And I went to Walmart, started painting, and then shortly after I got into therapy. I started doing therapy, and then that's when 1.5 years later, I bought my house. And when I moved into that house, it was some of the loneliest moments of my life, and I went through the shittiest relationships. There were a lot of people in my life that treated me like crap. But after this happened over and over again, I really had to start to think to myself, okay, well, where am I going wrong? It's gotta be me. And not in a blame, shaming kind of way, but like really being honest with myself. It starts with me. Where am I going wrong? Where do I need to make different choices? And I thought about this for a really long time, and shit didn't really start to click until I was probably 25, I want to say, because that's when your frontal lobe is fully developed in your brain. And I was like, well, where am I going wrong in all of this? I sat down and I thought about it for a long time, pondered on it, couldn't find the answers, rebuilt my relationship with God, I forgave God, and I started to work with him. And I'm like, all right, it's just me and you, because when I tell you I felt like I had nobody, I'm not joking. I felt like nobody understood me. I felt like the only person that understood me was him. And it took me to swallow my pride and fall on my face and end up extremely lonely and alone, to lean in on his understanding and lean on what he wants for my life. Or, you know, I feel like life just happens a lot easier as soon as I surrendered. And I'm talking about this because I talked to a different friend about this yesterday. We both did. And in the moment of choosing that, it wasn't easy, and it was a process, and it took time, and it's not easy. And I went to a church, and then I walked away from it because there was something really bad that happened, and no one defended me. And that's another story for another time. I'll probably end up sharing that one day, but it was really messed up what happened, and nobody believed me. I felt like nobody believed me, and there was proof. And I walked away from this facility, and I'm not saying organized religion is a bad thing. It works for some people, but it doesn't for me, because I went through this phase where I thought I had to be perfect, and I went through this phase where I thought I had to pray a certain way, and it's tough because you have this relationship with God, but then at the same time, people are sitting there with a finger in your face, shaming you, telling X, Y, and Z, this is how you should do this is how you should do that, and me being a like recovering people pleaser, I was like, okay, anything for you, so I tried to put on this persona of trying to be perfect, so I went through that as well, and regardless of what happened, I didn't blame God for it, because I know at the end of the day, everybody has good and bad in them, but there are people in them spitting on you. There are people in the world who will choose the bad, and this individual chose the dark. I'm not going to talk about that in this moment, but it just was not a good situation, so I walked away from it. And the last guy that I dated, I'm being super vulnerable here because I'm pretty much an open book, but it's my life and it's the things that happen, and there's a lot of different points I have in this video, but my last relationship, after that ended, I was the one who ended things because he couldn't give me what I needed, and it's not that he's a bad person. There were some shady things that he did behind my back that I caught him doing, and he lied to me about, and it doesn't matter. I'm not going on here saying that he's a bad person. It's not the point I'm getting to anyway. I remember sitting in the car, and I was on my way to his house, and his phone was turned off, and I didn't hear from him, and I just had a really bad gut feeling that something weird was going on. And I was at this stop sign, right? And I stopped. It was the last one before I got to his house. Granted, I was driving in a freaking blizzard, and he lived an hour away, and I was like, well, he's either gonna be dead, passed out in a freaking snowdrift, or I'm gonna find him in bed with another woman, or he's gonna be sleeping on his couch. I had no idea what to expect. I stopped at this last stop sign, and I finally was I'm gonna probably get emotional talking about this, but I was at this stop sign, and I looked up at the sky, and I was like, God, I trust your plan for my life. I couldn't hang on anymore. I wasn't capable of it. It was suffocating me. My grip was a chokehold around my neck, and I was like, I trust your plan. And after that, I got a call for a modeling job. Like, a few hours later, I flew out to Atlanta, Georgia, and did a modeling job out there. Never been flown out before for a job before like that. And there was another good thing that happened, that financially stuff fell through, and or not fell through, but came through for me. And in that moment, I was like, it's really that simple. Fully surrendering. That was the first time that something like that happened to me, like really true God moment, or truly divine. What higher power, whatever you want to call it, whatever you consider him. Everyone's got their own walk with their faith. I started to trust God more, and things just kind of started to work out. But in that moment, not only did I surrender, but I chose myself. For the first time in my life, I started choosing myself. And it was painful because I had to walk away from a lot of things that no longer serve me. I walked away from that relationship, which was extremely hard because I was really close to this family. To this day, I still love his family. I still value him as a person. We're not for each other. That's just the way life is. But in those moments of continuing to choose myself, or starting to choose myself, I walked away from that relationship, and then I ended up walking away from a job. And shortly after I quit that job, I knew I made the right choice because one of my coworkers passed away, and he was probably in his 60s and super nice guy, right? Well, I walked away from that, and then I walked away from a community, and then I ended up getting another job, and I walked away from that, and from my old job prior, my boss actually passed away, and I'm just like this stuff kept happening to open my eyes up to see that, okay, well, choosing myself or following my gut, following my intuition, this is the good thing for me because I don't want to end up certain ways. I want to live my life and be happy. Right now I'm in a situation where I don't know what I'm going to do for finances. I probably have enough money for one more month worth of bills, but I'm gonna figure it out. Even if I have to serve part-time or something comes up, I'm the person who figures things out. But right now, I heard God tell me to rest, and I'm like, to see my bank account, cause starting to sweat a little bit. I'm sweating in my car. It's getting down there. But I think it's a moment for me to trust him, not be foolish about it and be like, oh, well, I can just sit on my butt and do nothing. No, I'm creating content. I'm starting to go hard at this, but in the moments, like, I'm allowing myself to rest. Things that I wasn't able to do when I had a full-time job. I was doing content creation and being an artist on top of everything. Like, it just became too much. My relationships in my life were kind of falling apart. I didn't have time for people. People were getting upset with me. And I was just really locked in, but at the same time, I wasn't enjoying life, so I was just working. And it's like, well, if I don't have anything to look forward to, what's the point of all of this? And I was watching this reel. It was either a reel or a TikTok video or something, and it was a clip of this lady, and she was turning 50, and it was from a movie. I don't know which one it was. And she was about to blow out her candles. She was like, these are the things that I wanted to do, and I never did it, and I just kept putting things off. And in that moment, I really thought about it, and I was like, how many times am I going to delay this trip? How many times am I going to put it off? How many times am I going to sacrifice myself and not do the things I want to do? You know what I'm saying? And like, obviously, I'm not saying do what I did at all. Everyone's got their own path, but I started to choose myself, and in that moment, every birthday sucked after my mom passed away, and our birthdays are a day apart, so I ended up booking this trip over our birthdays, and I feel like it was healing for me in a sense, because I've spent 11 birthdays by myself and alone, and I can't tell you how much it sucked. And instead of sitting in my self-pity and wallowing in it, I was like, well, I need to set different things up for myself. Like, I need to do things differently. So how am I going to do it differently? I'm going to start doing things to lighten the pain and heal through this, because I don't want to hate my birthday because she's not here anymore. I don't want to hate Christmas because she died 4 days after. I don't want to feel like that anymore. And subconsciously, this stuff comes out. I was talking to my neighbor about it, but your body remembers trauma. And a week or two leading up to that date, both like her death date and her birthday, I struggle mentally, and I'm trying to heal through this so I don't have to feel those emotions anymore. Obviously, it's a pain that's never going to go away, I feel like, but I think I can get to a place where I can enjoy it and not feel so lonely. So I did. I booked the trip, and now I came back and I feel more directionless than ever. And there's been a lot of people who are trying to scare me. I'm actually going to finish this video at home because my camera's overheating. Welcome to my humble abode. We're in my house. Would you like a banana?
Wow.
Going once, going twice. Sold. To the person on the other side of the screen. We're in my kitchen, just a heads up. People are like, that's kind of a weird spot for bananas in a microwave. Yeah, it's my kitchen. Yeah, I was having some technical difficulties with my camera overheating. That always happens in my car, which sucks because the best lighting is in my car, which I wished I would have been able to finish it in there. But what I was saying before I ended this video was, I feel directionless. I feel kind of more lost than ever and feeling like I need to pivot in some way, and that's why I've been like focusing on my YouTube content, trying to get more clips, trying to make it more catchy. I've been trying different things, been kind of experimenting around with different things. Now, I don't know if these things are technically working. To a certain degree I do, because the first 2 Bali videos, by the time I'm filming this video, have came out, and then I did like a meditation sounds one, and those performed really well. I don't know if it's because my video skills have gotten better, if it's just because I'm in Bali, or if it's both. I don't know. Maybe it's a mixture of the two things, but there's a lot of people who are trying to instill fear in me, and I'm just, like, it sounds crazy, but like, you know, a year ago, a lot of that stuff would have hurt my feelings. It doesn't hurt my feelings anymore. It's kind of becoming a little bit harder to hurt my feelings because I've heard everything, and I trust God's plan for my life, and I trust the direction that I'm going. And even if I feel directionless, ooh, you're crooked. I've heard a lot of millionaires and like successful people talk about, you know, you're on the right path when you feel like there's no sense of direction. I feel like breakthrough is on the other side. There was a place where things got really hard, and I did consider quitting filming my life, and or maybe just like taking a step back. And I think as much as I sacrificed, and as many times as I've chosen myself, if I quit, I wouldn't be choosing myself. I would be going back to the same old kind of life. And at that rate, what's the point? What's the point if I'm not being creative? Because before, when I wasn't creative and I wasn't choosing myself, and I went to college because I thought it's what would be deemed in society as successful, or doing things that would make people happy or proud of me, I lost myself in that process. And it's like, I have came way too far and I've worked way too hard to go back to that. So when people tell me that I have confidence, that's where that confidence comes from, is a place of standing up for myself, that I'm not going to go back to old environments. Obviously, if, like I said, if funds do get low, I'm going to have to consider getting a job. But at this moment in my life right now, I think I need to focus on this one thing, because my intuition is just being like, hang on. Whether it's God, your intuition, same, but different. Like, I feel like I just need to hang on. And if I go back to another job, I'm going to be stressed out. Like, I'm already dealing with, like, neck pain and stuff from being stressed out. And I know it comes from, like, financial issues and stuff like that. It's, like, this nerve here. It's, like, in the back of my head, and it, like, shoots pain. I was asking Olivia, my friend, because she's a massage therapist. I was like, do you have a lot of clients that come in with, like, headaches and stuff? And, like, I was explaining. She's like, yeah. And I was like, is it usually caused from stress? She's like, yeah. So I'm trying to, like, de-stress my life, and getting a full-time job on top of all of these videos that I'm filming and trying to get ready for art markets for this summer is just too much. And I'm going to hang on as long as I can. I'm hoping that things turn around and I have, you know, abundance this summer as far as art shows go. I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I know I'm heading in the right direction. Sometimes it can feel like you're going into something blind, or you're stepping into it blind, and the truth is we are, because we don't know what's on the other side. I could quit and success could be laying on the other side. And if I would have just kept going for a month or two, or however long it takes me, all of that hard work that I've poured into this channel and into my artwork and trying to build a community and everything on this platform, it would be for nothing. You know, like, my content would still be out there, but I wouldn't be showing up for myself, and I wouldn't be being my best self, because I'm my best self when I'm being creative and I'm doing the things that I love. And I think right now there's this point in my life, God is having me be grateful for the things that I have. Like today, I didn't really splurge. I wanted a few things from Walmart. I didn't. I got the things that I needed, and that was it. Did I get a couple of plants? Yes. But I'm trying to make my atmosphere nicer, and I spent 20 bucks on plants. You know, I didn't get the iced coffee like I wanted. I stopped getting my nails done a long time ago. I stopped paying to get my hair done. I have to go to the dentist eventually, and, like, I need to save my money for that. But what I'm trying to tell you here is my life started to change when I started to choose myself. And it doesn't have to be grandiose moments. It's in the small acts. Like, my friend yesterday that was having a bad day, I'm like, give yourself an Epsom salt bath. If you have face mask stuff, do that. And just give yourself some compassion, you know? I think all of us are so worried about what everybody thinks of us when we're all just trying our best. Most of us. There are some people out there that are pretty vindictive, and there are some cruel people out there that are out for blood because they're hurting inside, and they'll possibly never change, you know? But at the end of the day, it's not about people. People aren't going to care about what kind of car you drove when when you pass away. None of it's going to matter when we're gone. 80 years after our death, people really won't remember us. I don't know hardly anything about my great-grandparents because they've been gone for a long time, and it's going to be the same thing with you and I. You know, I think what really sparked it in me to travel internationally by myself was life is short. I faced the reality of it, and it was real for me in my life. And I've always been, a spur of the moment, very spontaneous person, but there's this people pleaser in me that is slowly dying. And I'm not saying stop being kind to people, but stop giving yourself when you have nothing left for yourself at the end of the day. Like, obviously, if you have kids and stuff, that's a different story. But I'm saying, like, as far as yourself, if people, like, need you and, like, they like, I've had to set boundaries with people in my life because people need me. And I'm like, I used to like that. Like, it fed my ego in some sort of messed up way because that's what made me feel deemed as worthy when I was wallowing in my self-pity. I think I just want to be a good friend. I just want to be somebody who shows up, but I can't be that person if I'm not showing up for myself. And it's not selfish to choose yourself. If you're burnt out and somebody wants to dump all their garbage on you, it's one thing if a friend is struggling and they, like, legitimately need a friend there for them and they feel like they're alone. There's a difference between that and somebody who just wants to dramatize things and just dump their crap on you because you're not a dumping post. I used to be a dumping post, and I'm still guilty of that to this day. And I think a lot of the guilt stems from oh my God, if I'm not there for them, what's going to happen to them? What if they, do something that, because it happened with my mom. She threatened to, end things, if you know what I'm saying. And like, I was like, I don't know what you want me to tell you, because she was threatening me. And at 18 years old, that's a lot. That is a big burden for anybody to carry. I've had a lot of people threaten that to me, like, I'm just gonna do this, and it's like, I don't want you to, but I can't stop you, and it's not selfish, it's just like, you're not responsible for how they feel about you, and you're not responsible for fixing them. And I used to think that I needed to fix everybody, and I couldn't even fix myself. I couldn't even show up for myself. I hated myself, and I gave all that I had left, and there was nothing left for me at the end of the day. And I would respond to messages right away, and I'd still get anxiety, like, oh my God, well, what if they think this if I don't respond in the next 5 hours? And that's slowly falling off, because I've been working on setting boundaries with that. If it's not an emergency, it can wait. And the real people are going to be there and understand that you have a life too. And there's a lot of times where I might feel like a bad friend. And my one friend told me last night, I feel like a bad friend. And I told her straight up, I'm like, you're not a bad friend. We're all living our lives. We've all got our problems. We've all got our triumphs. We've all got our goals. We've all got our jobs. We've got all these different pockets in life. And I think at the end of the day, we're just doing the best we can with what we have. And we really don't know what's going on in someone's life. No one really knows what's going on in my life, not even you guys. You don't know what I go through when I'm here with no camera on. And it's not to like make you feel sorry for me, but like there were a lot of dark moments that I faced by myself, and to get myself out of that, I have to choose myself. What do I need to do? Do I need to exercise? Do I need to journal? Do I need to cry? Do I need to listen to a motivational video? And it's not like you need to figure all these things out. It's like starting with something small and experimenting with it. It took me years to figure this shit out. It sounds easy, but it's not. In the moment, it feels like it's not easy. And choosing yourself feels like it's not easy when you don't like yourself, because I've been there. And there's times where my mind tries to eat at me, but it's nothing like it ever used to be. I used to be so cruel to myself. I feel bad for 25-year-old me. 20-year-old, just young version of Tyler. I feel bad for that version of myself because I wasn't nice to her. And she didn't deserve that. And I had to do a lot of inner child healing work, and I'm still working on it, but there's this 5 to 8-year-old within inside of me that feels scared, and I am scared. That's a part of myself that's coming out. I don't know what video I was listening to or where I heard it, or maybe it was in therapy. I can't remember to save my life, but there's all these parts of you. And, I mentioned this in a video before, when I'm scared, I revert back to 5 to 8-year-old me. When I'm, devastated over something, I go back to, kind of dramatic 12 to 16-year-old me that doesn't know what to do. And I feel like the world is ending. And then there's, starting something new. I feel like when I started in the workforce and I was a teenager in my early 20s, and when I feel triggered, there's all these parts of ourselves, all these ages that are inside of ourselves. And that was one thing I tried to get to on my sit down video that was about aging getting older is weird, because it is. It's I feel 20, but I also feel my age, but I also feel like I'm 60 plus because I have a lot of wisdom. So it's feeling 20 and my body changing and my face changing because I see my exterior in a certain way. I really didn't verbalize this well enough when I went back and listened to the video, but that video's out in the algorithm, and whatever was said was meant to be said. And then I feel my age now because obviously I'm living in the present, but I also feel older because I have all this wisdom. So it's this constant battle between these three parts of myself. I know all of these things, but I have to deal with my age, but I also feel younger when I'm getting triggered, or there's lessons coming up, or I run out of patience for the day, or because we're all faulty. We all have our defaults, and we all have our things about us, and we're all going to learn in different areas of our life. And what I wanted to say in this video, or the point of all of it, is my life didn't start to change until I started to forgive God and start choosing myself. Those two things. And I treat God like he's my best friend. I pray before I eat in the morning. I try to every time before I eat, but it doesn't always work because I'm not I'm not gonna put that weight on myself. I just know that in the moment, if I have time and I'm like, I have my solitude, I try and make time for God, because that's a relationship. That's number one to me, is my relationship with God, because if I didn't have that foundation, I would have crumbled a long time ago and I wouldn't be where I'm at today and speaking to you on this today. And I still have my flaws, I still have my problems, I still doubt myself, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm not afraid to have humility. I'm not afraid to say that, hey, sometimes I fall short. Sometimes I'm scared. Sometimes I don't believe in myself. Sometimes I don't like myself. But at the end of the day, I have to remember to be kind to myself. Maybe the next day, maybe if my mind's driving me crazy and it's late at night, I'm gonna go to bed and tomorrow's a new day. And I said that to myself for years. I was unhappy, and walking away from stuff sucks. But when your intuition or your gut is telling you that something's off or something needs to change or you need to go, you need to listen to it. Because I wished I would have been so much more confident in my 20s. Like, I've heard people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever age they are, but all older than me, talk about, I wished I would have did this differently. Obviously, I wouldn't go back in time, but if I could change anything, I would have took bigger risks and I would have had more faith in myself. But it took all of those years of figuring all of this shit out to get to where I am today. So without all of those experience, I didn't have that. I didn't believe in myself. I had low self-worth. I had low self-confidence. I was severely insecure. I still have insecurities, especially in romantic relationships. And that's another thing I'm working on, because I'm not perfect. I'm in process. We all are. So if you're watching this video today, I hope you're kinder to yourself, and I hope that some of my examples have maybe helped you kind of get what I'm trying to say, like, or understand it better, I guess I'm trying to say, because I don't talk about my life to get clout or make people feel sorry for me. I want to share my knowledge and my wisdom and the things that I learned in my life and present it to you so it can help you or make you feel like you're not so alone in life. So if it did that for you today, that makes my heart happy. If you made it to the end of this video, you're a real one. You're just the real MVP. And I think that's all I really have to say today. Like, there was a lot of words that spilt out. I had a lot of different talking points. There was one topic, but there's all these sectors of it, because there's so much that goes into choosing yourself, and it doesn't happen overnight. I had to have a thing on my mirror taped up that said, you're beautiful, you're kind, you're important, and it took me probably a full year to look myself in the eyes in the mirror without crying to actually believe that I deserved good things in life, because I hated myself. And if you do today, if you're a person that feels like that, I want you to know that you got a heart inside and you have a dream for a reason. And there's parts about you, and that's why your friends are friends with you, because of all of those good parts. We all have our good and our bad. And what makes people like us is our light. And those are the things that we're, you know, if you're a good friend or you're there for somebody, maybe you think of someone and get them coffee, it's in the small gestures. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it made sense. And until next time, peace the F out. Let me know if you want more of these sit down videos, and I will see you next time. Bye!
Thank you.